For the last few weeks, we have been discussing who Antioch Christian Church is. And I told you at the beginning of this, the goal was, and I was really hoping if there was anybody here that was thinking about becoming a member of Antioch Christian Church, they would now know enough about it to be able to make that decision. But it also wasn't just about those that, were thinking about joining. It's also about those of you that have been here for a while that may have kind of, forgotten or need a refresher on, what we believe, why we do some of the things the way that we do them. And so, because I think that's something we need to be reminded of on a consistent basis. And so, the first week, what we talked about was our heritage, and our heritage is where we came from and kind of how we operate, okay? Last week, then, we had talked about our heartbeat, and that is what we believe and how what we believe drives what we do, which I'm kind of curious, how many of you that were here last week feel like you have a better understanding of what we believe now than you did before when you came in here? Anybody learn anything last week? Okay. Did you learn anything that you were kind of like, that's interesting? Any of that stuff? Okay. Does anybody feel like now you better understand maybe why we do some of the things that we do them because of what we believe? Did that help? Okay, good. Because that was the goal. I mean, that really was. That was the goal behind it. And so today we're going to be jumping into the last one, and this is our hope, okay? Now, if I were to say what is our hope, the easy answer, the church answer always is Jesus. Because Jesus is our hope, and Jesus is the one that drives everything we do, and that is the easy answer, and that is true, but we're going to go a little bit further than that, because I think sometimes I really kind of want you to, we said the first week, we said it again last week, Antioch Christian Church wants to be a place where all are welcome, where lives are changed, and God is glorified. Okay, and that makes a great tagline, but sometimes you wonder, what does that look like? I mean, how does that translate to the things that we do? And when we say that Jesus is our hope and He is the one that drives it, what does that look like? And so I really want to kind of talk about that a little bit because, the thing is that, when we talk about being the hope of our church, Antioch Christian Church wants to be the church in our community. And when I say that, I don't mean that we want to be the church in our community, but instead we want to be the church in our community. That's our goal. That is what drives us. Antioch was never intended to be a members-only club. It was intended to be a welcoming place of healing, of growth, and that's open to all. But the fact is that the church was designed and it is intended. Ours is to grow. Okay? Now, this is where some people start, lamenting, well, I don't like big churches. I like my church the way it is. I like it small. I like it intimate. I like it focused on what I want rather than all this outreach and visitor stuff and everything else. But those are the words we don't ever say out loud, right? That's the quiet part we don't say out loud. So instead, what do we say? Church just isn't what it used to be. Or, I wish church was like it was when I was growing up. Okay? Those are the kind of things we say. And have you ever heard somebody say that? You ever heard that? Okay. Hey, chances are, one time or another, we've probably said it or we've thought it, and you don't have to raise your hand on that. But here's the deal. I would say this. I think that, a lot of times when we talk about, church being the way that it used to be, it's more about the community than it is the size. And here's what I mean. A church should be growing unless our community is dying. And I'm talking physically shrinking. The church should be growing. Why? Because we should be reaching new people for the cause of Christ. Okay, so unless we're in a place where we are physically shrinking as a community and our community is dying, the church should be growing. But I think here's one of the things that really gets missed in the discussion a lot of times when we start talking about church growth and growing as a church. Every week, I probably get no less than 5 to 10 emails that will lay out for me some idea, some program, some plan that you can grow your church. I mean, how to double your church in 90 days. How to break the 200. I mean, I get them all the time in my email. And the thing is that, when I see those, and there's a tendency sometimes you're like, hey, should I click on that? But I have to be reminded. There's a story I heard many years ago, and I really tried to click with it. It's actually a story that goes back to, it was the early days of Chick-fil-A, because back in the 90s. And in the 90s, Chick-fil-A's primary competition, their direct competition, was a company called Boston Chicken. And Boston Chicken became Boston Market. But Boston Chicken at the time, they were really, really aggressive in the way that they were growing and building stores and doing all of this stuff. And so Chick-fil-A, that was their direct their competition. And so all this culminates in a meeting, up in the boardroom where you got all the VPs and the marketing reps. And they're up there and they are talking about all the ways that they can compete with Boston Chicken and how they're going to outgrow them. And we need to borrow money and build stores and expand our footprint. And sitting at the head of the table is Truett Cathy, who was the owner, the founder of Chick-fil-A. And he's just sitting there, he's just listening. And debates going on and going on. And then at some point, he just starts pounding his fist on the table until he gets everybody's attention. When they all stop, and he says, gentlemen, I am sick and tired of listening to you talk about how we have got to get bigger. We need to talk about how to get better. Because if we get better, our customers will demand that we get bigger. In 1998, Boston Market, and that's what Boston Chicken became. In 1998, Boston Market filed for bankruptcy. 2 years later, Chick-fil-A exceeded $1 billion in annual revenue. Okay? In 2023, Chick-fil-A was rated as the number one store in customer satisfaction. They were rated number one in customer satisfaction. And they generated over $16.7 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars in revenue. Third behind only McDonald's and Starbucks. Okay? That's it. Why? Because they listen to this, because they decide we have got to get better, and if we get better, our customers will demand that we get bigger. Okay? And the reason I say that is because I think that clicks so much in church world if we will understand it, because I think that a lot of us, if you're one of those that you lament, mega churches, big churches, church growth and talking about it, I think it probably has less to do with the number of people than it does the way that it feels. Okay, the community. And a lot of times when we look back and we say, I wish church could be like it used to be, I think it has more to do with the fact that it felt like it was a family, it was a community. Everybody was involved in the lives of one another. We knew what was going on in one another's lives. And I think there was a genuineness about it. And the thing is that does not have to fade away just because a church grows numerically. Doesn't have to fade away. I think it just means we need to be more intentional about making sure that we have those connections. I think we need to be more intentional, as Truett Cathy said, we need to focus on getting better, and then they'll demand that we get bigger. A few years ago, you guys, in case you forgot, there was a little virus that kind of swept through called COVID. No, the fact is that I think there was one good thing. I think COVID changed our culture for the worse, even though I do think that it did highlight one thing that was a positive, and that was that when 14 days to flatten the curve turned into 7 weeks of isolation and disconnection, we all realized, I think many of us for the first time, how much we crave and how much we need interaction and connectedness and relationships. We realize that, I think, in that moment. And I am so glad we were set up. We're still doing it. I'm so glad that we were set up to go online when that happened. But and there was a lot of excitement. I remember everybody sitting around like, "Oh, we're going live! Just up there we go!" And everybody was so jazzed about it. But it was never the same, was it? I mean, and that's the thing, is that I think that as cool as it is to have online church, and I am so glad that we do, because we got people that are watching today, and I think that it's an important ministry, okay? But the thing is, it's not the same as being in the Lord's house with our family, with the body of believers. It's just not the same, because there's not the connection. I don't think it'll ever completely replace in-person gatherings just for that reason. But here's the fact, we are living in a time right now, we are more connected to everybody than we have been at any other time in our lives. But we are more disconnected from one another than we have ever been at any other time in our lives. Okay? We don't have those intimate connections. Like I said, that's why I say that I think online church will ever take over, because we need that. We crave that. We desire that. And it's one of the reasons that I think, we as a church, we need to be intentional about providing connections for those relationships. And it's one of the things, Antioch Christian Church, we believe that in order for us to be a healthy church, we need to grow larger and smaller at the same time. Okay? We need to grow larger and smaller at the same time. And all you got to do is look at the Bible to see if this is true. Okay? If you go to the New Testament, you will find Jesus, and he is going all around. And there were always huge crowds that would follow him to hear what he was teaching and what he was preaching. Okay? And then, but out of the crowd, then there were the disciples. Now, a lot of times when we say disciples, we tend to think of what? The 12, right? Chances are there were probably more than 120 disciples, people that were actively trying to follow and to learn from Jesus. But of those 120, there were these 12 that went with him pretty much everywhere. The ones that were doing ministry with him. That was a more intimate group, and we hear about them. Of those 12, we find 3, okay? Peter, James, and John, that they were that inner circle and were even closer. And of those 3, Peter, James, and John, there is one who is John, and he is referred to as the disciple whom Jesus loved. And my point is that as we get smaller and smaller and smaller, you find that these relationships get more personal. They get more intimate. That connection is even greater. And we're in the same way. I'm sorry, the church does the same thing. Look up here. There will always be kind of these different circles, okay, that we have. We will always have the broader community. The broader community are the ones that we're ministering to, that are out in the community. They are the people that sometimes they're going to come to church. They're going to attend an event somewhere here and there, okay? They may come to our, Halloween festival, our fall festival. They're going to come to VBS, those different types of events, okay? But then there is also, then we have got I call it kind of the crowd. The crowd is more of the regular attenders, the people that are here on a pretty consistent basis. They may have friends, they may have family that attend here, but they are regular attenders. And then we have the congregation. Like I said, once again, we're getting to a smaller group. We have the congregation. These are the members. Okay, these are the people that have made the decision to say that Antioch Christian Church is going to be my home. This is my place. Okay, and then you've got, from the congregation, you get into kind of what we call the committed, and these are the maturing members. Now, when I say maturing members, I don't mean getting older. What I mean is that they are growing actively in their faith, that they're growing in their walk with Christ. And then you have, from that group, you come in and you've got your core. And your core is those that are doing the ministry of the church in whatever fashion. okay, in whatever place. And our goal, okay, I mean, as you look at this, our goal is that we want to take and move people from being part of the community and get them into the core. We want people that are regular attenders to become more of the committed, to become, where they are maturing as members. That is our desire. That's really, and I say that, and it's like, this is not a unique Antioch Christian Church model that is some secret, state secret. Nobody else is doing that. It's the model for all churches. It really is. We all have kind of those same circles. And the thing is, how do we move from the crowd into the core? How do we move people along? And I think the way that we do that in large part is because what we want to do is call our people, okay, to 4 commitments. And this is really, when we talk about our hope, and this is where we go, and this is where we grow. The first is a commitment to membership, okay, plain and simple. That's the first commitment that we want to call people to. This is not about having X amount of people on our rolls as members so that we can claim to have X number of members. That's not what it's about. This is about making a commitment to Christ and to the church family. And I think this is one place that we as Americans, our rugged individualism betrays us, okay? Because we kind of live in this way. We want to believe that we're self-sufficient. That is, we can do it on our own. I don't need anybody else. Isn't that what we're grown up? That's what we are always taught. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, we were designed for relationships. We were formed for relationships. We were created to carry one another's burdens. We were created to have a relationship with our God and with our Creator, and we were designed to have relationships with the fellow members, with other believers, the family of God. Ephesians 2, verse 19, it's the reason that Paul says this way: you are no longer foreigners and aliens, but fellow citizens with God's people and members of God's household. Romans 12, verse 4 and 5 says, just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ, we who are many form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. You were never ever created to be an island unto yourself. You were not, okay? We were created by God to be loved by God and to have a relationship with God and with His body. Okay, that's why we were created. And this is hard on some folks. It really is. I think it's hard on some folks because we believe that we don't need anybody, but also because we have been, as Americans, we have been raised in a society that says that you try it till you buy it, no matter what it is. Try it till you buy it, and if you don't like it, then you can return it for a complete refund, no questions asked. Isn't that that's the society we live in? That's what we're told. Well, see, the thing is that church membership is a polar opposite to that. Because church membership says, you know what? I realize I need these people. Church membership says, I am a part of a family. This is my church. Not that I run it. It is my church, that it is my family. And because it is my family, I am going to fight for it. I am invested in it. I care about it. And I am going to do everything that I can to make sure that my church is the most effective that it can be in bringing glory to our God and Father. That's what church membership is. It's saying, I'm here, and I'm going to work through all the stuff. Instead of packing up and leaving when things get tough, instead of trying to find the newest, greatest, shiniest, whatever thing, that's what church membership is. And it is so counterintuitive to the culture that we have been brought up in, isn't it? Okay? I mean, I hear, this is one thing, those of you that say, I wish church could be like it used to be. Didn't you go to church with the same people for like decades? Because we saw it as a family. Because we had that connection. And so we worked through things and we grew. So membership is the first thing. Membership, by the way, is not about the church's roles. It's about your role. It's about you finding your place in the body of Christ. The second thing that we call our people to is a commitment to maturity. If you have been a member of Antioch Christian Church for any period of time and you are at the same place spiritually today that you were the day you joined the church, somebody is to blame. And it is either us or it's you. Okay? Now, we can try to provide everything that we can to help you grow spiritually, but just like having a gym membership, it's only good if you get up, go, and put in the effort. Okay? I mean, in a gym, all the equipment's there, but you're the one that's got to go. You're the one that's got to put forth the effort. And it's the same thing, I believe, when it comes to the church in so many ways. Excuse me. There are things that you can do. I think about this as a gym. There are certain things that you go and you work with a trainer at the gym to do. And then there are certain things that you go home and you do by yourself in your own time. It is the same way when it comes to our spiritual growth, okay? That there are things that we do here, but there's a lot of stuff that you have to do on your own. I think of... you come to different things of prayer, of stewardship, of solitude, of Bible study, of meditation. Those are individual things that we need to do. But I will tell you, at the same time, the church does all that we can to provide places for those. We try to provide with Bible studies that we have to help you learn things that you're interested in, giving you opportunities to serve, giving you opportunities to give, even down to, I'm curious, I don't know how many of you know, we provide, it is called Right Now Media. The church pays for a subscription to Right Now Media, and it is a free gift to every single one of you. Okay? If you know about it, use it. If you don't, come talk to me. We'll get you connected on it. Because it is the Netflix, that's what they call it, is the Netflix of Christian Bible study and videos. There's amazing stuff in there. And so I would use that. But we provide that free of charge to each and every one of our members. You come here, you show up, you say, I'd like to have it, boom, you've got it, okay? But the thing, once again, that's like, we can have an amazing machine that sits in the middle of the gym, but if nobody ever, they just look at it and go, hey, that's cool that they've got that, and never gets on it, it doesn't do you any good, okay? And so it's the same thing when it comes to, I talk about the commitment to maturity. And I'll say this too. The other thing, if you look in your bulletin, one of the things that you will find is that you will find my phone number and you will find my email address. Okay? You will also find the phone number of each and every one of our elders. That is there for you to use. That is there for the times when you need prayer, you call one of us. When you need encouragement, when you need comfort, when you're looking for wisdom, when you're looking for guidance, when you're struggling in some situation, those numbers are there for you to use. As spiritual leaders and stewards of this body of believers, it's not about just meeting once a month so that we can talk about some stuff. It is about guiding, leading, encouraging, comforting this flock that has been entrusted to us, okay? And so use those numbers, make those calls. We want to know about it when you need prayer or you want us to pray about something. That's why in 1 Timothy 4:7, Paul, he's encouraging Timothy and us as well. He says, train yourself to be godly. In 2 Timothy 2:15, he says, do your best to present yourself as one approved, a workman who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the word of truth. So there's a call to membership, that is being a part. There's a call to maturity, and that is growing. And the third is a commitment to ministry. Okay? 1 Peter 4:10, he writes, each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others faithfully, administering God's grace in its various forms. Commitment to ministry is a commitment to discovering and using your God-given gifts, talents, and abilities. That is exactly what it is. And this goes so far beyond just, everybody thinks of any time, I'm being called to ministry. Well, that means I've got to either play an instrument, sing a song, preach a class, preach a sermon, or teach a class. And other than that, it's nothing. No. Far from it. There are gifts and talents, so many. If you're sitting here today and you call yourself a Christian, you have been given at least one spiritual gift by the Holy Spirit of God. And He expects you to use it. That's what it's there for. It is to be used. And it is to be used, first and foremost, it is to be used in the ministry of the local church, because the local church is, it is the hope of the world. When the local church disappears, whoa, Nelly. We're in a bad place. But I'll tell you what, at the same time, the local church doesn't have to disappear. The local church can just be absolutely ineffective. And the local church becomes absolutely ineffective when the members of the local church decide, you know what, somebody else will do it. I don't need to. I don't have a gift. I'm not going to. That's when we become ineffective. The local church is so important because it is a place for you and I to discover our gifts, to apply our gifts, to minister to the Lord, to minister to our brothers and sisters in Christ, and to minister to our community. And I'll say this, if you don't know what your spiritual gifts are, okay, or you're not sure about it, come see me, come see one of the other. We'll find you some resources that we can determine that. There's online stuff that you can take, and you kind of answer about 50 questions, and it kind of gives you an idea, and then we can go from there. So if you want to do that, come see me. I'll get you the link, and away we go. And the reason that the local church is so important is because of the final commitment, and that is a commitment to missions. Now, when I say missions, I'm not talking about the fact that you got to sell everything and go to Africa or Poland, though if you want to do that, go right ahead, okay? You can. But the fact is that missions, by and large, missions is about you and I sharing the gospel. Jesus, before He ascended to heaven, he was speaking to His disciples, the apostles, and His last words to them were Acts 1:8, and He said, "You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." That they were to take the story, just what Josh was talking about, to go tell everybody. And that's what missions is. It is declaring the glory of God. It is telling who Jesus is, what Jesus did, why Jesus did it, who He did it for, and how to receive it. That's missions. Okay? And 1 Peter 3:15, we've heard this. Peter tells us, but set apart but in your heart set apart Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do it with gentleness and respect. You know, we talked last week about how we believe that being committed to the Great Commission and the greatest commandment will grow a great church. And here's why. Because human nature is that, and you can't deny it, we become whatever we are committed to. The things that we commit ourselves to are what we will become. Okay? And that happens as individuals. Okay, when we as individuals commit to these 4 different arenas, what we'll find is that we are also a church that is committed to those 4 arenas. And that's where we become just so effective. But what we know about the church is we know that Jesus' desire, from the day that He ordained the church, His mission for the church has not changed. It is always intended to be a shining city on a hill. It is to be a beacon to all who are looking for encouragement, for comfort, for hope, for salvation. That's what we are called to be. And for that reason, with that principle in mind, we have made the decision. We believe that it is time for Antioch Christian Church to expand our ministry, our vision, and our footprint. 30 plus years ago, the building that you are sitting in right now was dedicated and called Antioch Christian Church. Okay? It did not take long to realize that this was not going to fulfill the needs and the ministry that Antioch had been called to do. And so as a result, the decision was made that they built everything that is on the other side of that wall. Okay? And it was added as the youth and the children's wing so that we could impact more families. We feel it's time to go that way now. We feel that it is time for Antioch Christian Church to step out in faith and to construct a new sanctuary. To construct a place where, number one, we will have a baptistry that is always full and always warm. But secondly, a place where we can minister to and reach even more families. A place where, and this is not about, please understand me, when we say this is not about the fact that, if you build it, they will come and we're going to build this really cool building. And then everybody, no, that's not what's going to happen. I guarantee you. The way that we are going to fill a new sanctuary is because those of us that are sitting in this room make a commitment to call this our church family, to be invested in this as our church family, that we make a commitment to maturing and to growing in our faith, because we make a commitment to do ministry, to serve our brothers and our sisters in Christ, and to serve those that are outside these walls as well, because we make a commitment to missions, that we believe the hope of the world is Jesus, that it is to tell people about the Savior who died for us. See, when that happens, it won't be because we build a cool building. It's not going to be because we've got whatever amazing teachers or preachers or music or what. None of that matters. It is about the heart of the people that are in here. And that is what will happen. And I want to say this too. Please understand that when we talk about, that we want to go that direction, that we want to build a new sanctuary, this is not about us wanting to be a mega church. This is about Antioch Christian Church wanting to be a church that has a mega impact upon our families, upon our community, and those beyond. That's what this is about. Okay? And so with that in mind, I do want to say this. Some of you be ready. You may start getting tapped on the shoulder and asked to come alongside, because we see that you have gifts, talents, and abilities to help get this process started. Others of you, if you feel like you have something, you feel like God has gifted you, that He has given you a specific talent and ability, something that can benefit and help in this process, then definitely come talk to myself. Come talk to one of the elders, and we will find a place that you can get involved in this. Okay? Guys, I'm excited. I don't know about you. And I'm a little scared. I don't know about you. But what I do know, I know beyond that, though, you know what? We serve a great God. And we serve a God who is bigger than any financial barrier that we will face. We serve a God who is bigger than any opposition that we will face. I think back about where this building began, and we've talked about it so many times that... Did you guys ever think that it would be full when you finished it on day one?
Absolutely.
There you go. Absolutely. One of the things that I think, and sometimes it's hard. You start talking about ministry and you talk about church, and I think sometimes it's hard to visualize a little bit. Okay. But you know what? I've had too many conversations with many people. Some of them are in this room. Some of them used to be in this room. Some of them have never been in this room. But one of the things that I think every one of us aspires to, one of the greatest, I think, yearnings that we have is to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. Okay? And sometimes when you start talking about doing ministry, that's hard to envision. It's hard to... but here's the deal. I look back, and we're reading through the Old Testament right now, and I read back to the first tabernacle, and what I find is that God gifted men and women uniquely, every single one of them, so that they could do their part in building that first tabernacle. And nothing has changed. Every single one of you, God has gifted in one way or another, whether it may be physically being able to do something. It may be financially in the way that you can give. It may be in planning. It may be in vision. It may be in prayer. It may be, there are so many different ways, and every single one of you has been gifted in a way that you can come in and be a part of something bigger than yourself. And that is the ministry of Antioch Christian Church in this community and beyond. And so I want to invite you to be a part of it, and I want to invite you to be a part of it right now by committing to pray for it. That's the first thing. Start praying about it. And this was not intended to be a message. It was all about that. That's an exciting thing. Here, first and foremost, I'll tell you, there's the old saying is that if you want to start a revival, the first thing to do is draw a circle around your own feet. And once you start revival inside that circle, then it'll spread. Because it all starts individually. You and I have got to make these commitments. And so as we come to our time of decision, this is really what I want to ask you to do. On the back of the chair in front of you, you will find, I'm going to praise team, go ahead, I'm so far out of whack, so it's okay. Okay? On the back of the chair in front of you, you're going to find that there's either a prayer card or there's going to be a colored index card, whatever it is, okay? And I want you to take that, because here's the deal. I think that every single one of us, in one way or another, we struggle with one of those 4 areas of commitment, okay? Maybe you've never been able or ready to make that commitment, to commit to the membership and being a part of the family that is here at Antioch. Okay? Maybe yours is that you have struggled in maturity, that you feel like you're in the same place you were 5 months ago, which is the same place you were 5 years ago. You feel like you've stagnated in your faith. You're just not growing. Maybe you feel like you are struggling in ministry, that you can't find that place, or you don't have that passion. You just haven't done it to serve in a particular area, to step up. Maybe yours is missions. You have such a hard time telling people about Jesus. You want to, you'd love to, you get excited about it, but when the time comes, you struggle in that. I don't know what arena it is, but I think each one of us, we know it as we think about it. We're like, man, I've done good here, but I struggle in this. And I just want to ask you, write whatever that word is, whether it is membership, whether it is maturity, whether it's ministry, whether it is missions, write that on that card. And then you got 2 options for it, okay? Number 1, you can take it home and you can put it in your car, put it up on the mirror, and every day when you get up, you just pray that God would help you to grow in that area. Maybe you would like for us to pray for you about it. And if that is the case, on your way out of the door, you can put it back there in one of the offering trays. On your way out, just put your name on it. And you drop it in one of those, and I will make a commitment. I will take those up, and beginning Monday, I will be praying for you in those areas. Maybe you'd like to talk about it. And if that's the case, just put a phone number on there. Okay, put a word, your name, and a phone number so I can contact you. But if you just want me to be praying about it, all you got to do is just write your name on there and put it in there. The decision is yours of how you want to respond to it. But what I'm going to say is, please respond. Listen to what God's laying on your heart.